Hey, and welcome to another video. I was talking the other day about new laws and regulations for the roads. What got me thinking about all the stupid rules that we've now come out with all the cars that we can and can't do with our vehicles, especially all over the world. I feel like Australia by far has some of the worst and most restrictive rules. Oh, don't get me wrong, there are worse countries to live in, but the Australian government really love their toll roads. Some of these toll roads bring in multi-billion dollars a year. Then we have yearly registration and insurance on top. You might be thinking, well, if you can't afford the toll roads, don't use them. But if you've ever been in Australia's major cities, it's near impossible to avoid tolls, otherwise you get stuck in 3.5 to 4 hours of traffic. But as for me, I live in the middle of nowhere. My drives are driving straight and avoiding kangaroos. But we also have some of the harshest rules for speeding. It can be up to $180 to $210 just for 1k over the speed limit in Australia. I know rules are there to protect people, but a singular K over is a bit of a stretch. But, as all the ads say, every K over is a killer. Yeah, it's a killer alright, a killer to our wallets. There are some good things about Australia. We have beautiful roads that we can drive on that sometimes aren't covered in a million potholes, so, I mean, there is that. But we can't hate everything about the Australian government or the governments that we come from. They are trying to protect people, and sometimes they're trying to do the right thing, as much as we hate it. But, in saying that, not all rules are really there to protect people. Most of them are just there because they're either trying to chase more revenue or because they're just trying to hinder people from having, well, burnouts and fun and killing themselves on the road. But people always have the argument, well, why don't you just go to a track? Why don't you go to a burnout festival? Why don't you go somewhere where you can do it legally and safe? Okay, well, tell me 10 places I can go to where I can do it legally and in a safe manner. Right now in Brisbane, there are 3 places you can go. You can go to Warwick, you can go to Ipswich, and you can go to the Sunshine Coast Raceways. But guess what? They all have rules and you have to pay to go. You might be thinking, yeah, no shit, all places have rules. But the thing is, if you have noise complaints from neighbours that try and shut down all the raceways anyway. I mean, we used to have a track at Archerfield, but that got closed down because it was too close to personal homes and retirement villages. That's also right around the corner from a fucking airport. That, no joke, the residents actually tried closing down an airport that had been there for over 50 years. But you can only complain so much, so what really is a solution? Because there's always a solution to a problem. I feel like most people will say that a government-funded track would be awesome. It's the government-owned and it's owned by the people. Kinda like a skate park in the same regards. It's owned by the government. But yes, can sound like a good thing, but it's also depending on what government is in charge, because there are just people out there that hate cars. So I feel like the best solution would be a partially government-owned building. What you would do is you would have privately owned land. So the track would be owned by a company, and then the government would own a building on said property. And to make this more appealing to governments, you would have it as an organization of helping people understand traffic laws and rules. Having it set up as like a safety course or something like that to help people understand the rules of driving and being safer on the road. You'd also try and include businesses and jobs in this area as well. You would probably have mechanic shops or tire shops in the area. If they can create hundreds of jobs, that's more votes that they can get, because they can also justify the cost of the building and the facilities. The only hard part about this is you would need to find 1, a government that's willing to work with you, 2, a body or company that's willing to work with you for the cost of track and other appliances for the roads. Because I don't know about you guys, I don't have a spare $100 to $200 million laying around. It's not like a skate park. A skate park is for the youth. But in that regard, you can also say that it's also a family dynamic. You also take your kids to a skate park, but you can also take them camping. What can either be on public or private land. So I feel like it can be possible to create something with a government that would actually be good for a car community and actually good for environment and for the youth as well. I feel like it all comes down to the understanding of governments can be good, governments are needed. Yes, we can hate our government, but they can always try and do something better, but we just have to give a better action plan towards them. Because at the end of the day, this is a car community. Everyone has the right to drive a car, ride a bike, and do it somewhere safe and fun if they want to have a little bit of more of an experience doing so. So yes, governments suck, but at the end of the day, if you work with them and you are strong enough and you believe enough and you have a community behind you, then yes, you could probably enact change. And that's something I would be willing to do. I don't have the money behind me, I'm just one person, but I know in a community, if you all stand together and you all show respect, then maybe change will happen. But I'm just one guy, but I know there's other people that are willing to take the risk and the gamble on a community just like ours. I mean, let's face it, the car community is a multi-billion-dollar business. So maybe it's just a matter of time, and one person putting this towards someone and being like, hey, this could be a great idea. And even if it's not, well, only time can tell. Thanks for watching. But yeah, I do think that governments will change, and maybe over time we can actually have nice things. And one day, if I do have the opportunity to put these words into actions, I would definitely do it, because I'm willing to bet on this community. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.